I'd rather be sidelined trying to achieve greatness than watch greatness achieved and it only set on the sideline. Now introducing your host, Jacob Emery.
This episode of the Iron and Infrastructure Podcast is brought to you by Unlocking Greatness with Jacob Emery, a coaching community built for those ready to become the strongest version of themselves. Weekly calls, proven playbooks, and a community built to grow. Greatness is not given, it's unlocked. Join us today at jacobemery.com or DM coach at jacobemery44 on all social media platforms. Welcome to another edition of the Iron and Infrastructure Podcast. This is the 199th edition of the show. And to get to 199, you got to start with one. So the gratitude, the appreciation I have for everyone that's been on this journey with me, cannot thank you enough. Appreciate all the support, the outreach, the kind words, the unkind words. Appreciate all of it. I'm here to get better. I'm here to serve. So whatever can bring value to the listeners, that's what I'm here to do. So appreciate everyone sticking with me through the journey, ups and downs, much more downs than ups. But nonetheless, thank you to everyone that's been a part of this. A special shout out, Tyler Treadway. Homie, if it wasn't for you, I would have never got this thing started the way I did. It would have been much worse from the beginning, and you really helped me when I had zero idea of what I was doing. So Tyler Treadway, thank you from the bottom of my heart, my friend, my brother. You have been amazing getting this thing off the ground, and we're going to have a little bit of a special surprise for everyone today that I'll mention here in a minute. The second shout out would be Cory Gregory. G, my homie, you helped me overcome such a big fear doing this. And because of that, I want to recognize episode 200 that we just shot at Muscle Freaking Island. But before 200, we got to talk about 199. And 199 starts with number 1. Episode 1. I'm mumbling my words. I have no idea how to do an intro. I prepped very little to any with no idea what I'm doing at that time. And still have the hiccups, still have the issues. But I didn't freaking quit going. I didn't do anything special, G. I just didn't miss. I think you've heard that a time or two. In memory of episode 200 coming up, I had to flash it back to the day one. You just got to start. And I remember you telling me that day, Jake, you got to get started. You just got to do it and get it out there. And because of that, thank you, G, for everything. Day one, episode 1, we're going to play it back. We're going to go back to the beginning so everyone can see what it was like from the beginning, the day 1 episode. G takes it to commercial break. My introduction is nothing but complete word vomit. It was a very humbling, blah, 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 blah. The intro was horrible. But I did the thing. Being able to commit to something for 2 years and not missing, that is a win in itself, regardless of what the actual thing is. Just the ability to commit for 2 years to have 2 episodes out consistently and that whole entire time has been an absolute win. I've had nothing but frustration mixed with absolute fulfillment doing this. And so I've enjoyed it. I've grown a lot. And because of this thing, it's helped me overcome some of the biggest setbacks I've had in my life. It's not possible, though, if nobody listens, if nobody helps. So everyone on my team, through Hannah and Dane doing the back end work on the content, everyone that's been a part of it in my coaching program that's helped me with my hiccups and my setbacks, every guest on the podcast to date, thank you everyone that's been a part of this. I appreciate your willingness to be patient with me and your willingness to deal with some of the unfortunate things that have happened with cancellations and camera setup and the lack thereof, with everything in between. Thanks to everyone. I cannot say that enough. This is for the people out there. I hope it provides value. And if it doesn't, let me know about it. I can't make it better if I don't know what the issues are. So to everyone that's listening, episode 199, we're going to throw back to day 1, the beginning, and we're going to make sure everyone understands that episode 1, very little time spent, completely set the stage for episode 200. The final shout out, and probably the most important, my first actual interview was with my grandpa. It's still the best and most favorite interview I've had. I learned so much that day. Grandpa Emery, I love you. I cannot thank you enough for everything. My grandpa, Jack Emery, is the one that introduced me on the show. And we got a lot of great audio from him that day. Quotes, sayings of mine that I've just held on to forever. He's the one that introduced me, though. And I cannot think of a more profound moment for me and a more proud moment to say that I'm being introduced on my podcast by my grandpa, and his legacy will carry on because of that. If you haven't seen it, episode 100 is that interview with my grandpa, but that introduction lasts forever. That introduction will be something that I never let go of. And with that, Grandpa, I cannot thank you enough. Everyone that's been a part of the journey, whether supportive, critical, a cheerleader, or hater, either way, I thank all of you. I can't get better without the negativity, but trust me, the positivity is what keeps me pushing through. And so with that, enjoy episode 1. I hope it's something special for you. I know for me, when I watched it back, I laughed. I cringed. I damn near bit my tongue off. But I enjoyed every second of having that reflection and gratitude. So, episode 199, let's throw all the way back to the beginning, episode 1, because episode 200 is getting the stage set by this, because episode 200, ladies and gentlemen, is freaking epic. Check out 199, throwing it all the way back to the beginning. Here we go. All right, we've got episode 1 of the Iron and Infrastructure podcast. Could have no better guest on than Cory Gregory himself. So Cory is a mentor, a friend, an iron and brother. I feel like being here is a completely humbling experience for me right now. Obviously, first podcast being recorded, but also the guest that I'm recording it with. So
I had to be the first guest.
I had to be the first guest. I wouldn't be sitting in this seat on this podcast if it wasn't for Cory Gregory. I will say that. So,
Thanks, man.
17 years ago, we met. I was a young juvenile delinquent kid and
That's a
in a lot of
fact.
trouble. When Cory asked me one of the most life-changing questions that I've ever had asked me in my life: "What the hell are you doing with your life?" And from that time to now, a lot's changed, and it's been fun.
Why do you think that for some reason that day that meant that much, Jake? Because I said it very casual, and it was like it wasn't even in a mean way. I think I was like healthfully trying to like make you look at like you had a lot of possibilities, and I think a lot of like talent, and I thought it was in fitness. It didn't turn out that way, but
I think it was me knowing that I was not doing what I needed to be doing at the time, and I wasn't applying myself in a business perspective. Because I was in the best shape of my life probably at that point.
For sure.
To that point, but my career path was just flatlined. So
were
I
you
think
mad at first when I said that to you? Did you take it?
it was like a punch in the teeth for sure.
Yeah.
But it was I wasn't mad. I was more mad at myself. It was more like I need to check myself and see like why did he say that to me? And it was just a couple years ago when we actually did the podcast again. I never even knew that it was about personal training.
Yeah,
like
I
that's
was looking at this guy like I thought you were going to be within the fitness industry. Obviously, you're in pipeline, and it's like I was like, why is this? I literally was thinking to myself like, why is this guy wasting his talent? He should be already making money doing this or whatever. Like in my mind, that's really what I was saying it towards, because I was always looking at like I'm like this smaller dude that isn't that strong. You're like a fucking big imposing dude that had a good genetic build plus worked hard on top of him. Like, this guy's got all the fucking tools.
Right.
And then so that led to, what are you doing with your life?
What the hell are you doing with your life? And I think the most rewarding part of that was I didn't know. I could not answer the question. Yeah. So it wasn't really a question that you were asking for me to answer. It was more of a recognition, but then I couldn't answer the question. And it took months, maybe a year, to try to figure out what the hell am I doing in my life. So from, 20 years old probably then to 22, I figured it out fairly quick. But it was that defining moment of not having that vision, not having that bigger dream to what the hell are you doing with your life?
Yeah.
And then being able to figure that out. So it's pretty cool.
I would think that there's not a lot of people that can answer that question very
Yeah.
often too. And I think that even the fact that you were going to search for it is then what you started to uncover that, that has to be, I don't know. I think that I knew early on kind of what I wanted to do and at least where I wanted to go. And I think that was like a real blessing. And I think that's why I was able to get further along in my career pretty fast and young, which is also what you was able to do once that clicked in.
Yeah.
Because when you have those two things kind of lined up, it's at least you're not aimlessly wandering. I was just reading As a Man Thinketh last night by James Allen, and it talked about the aimless person. Like you're literally just like running into
The
a
hamster
wall.
wheel, right? I talked
Yes.
about a bureaucratic system being on a hamster wheel, not having a defined purpose. And so kind of like you had I want to lift weights and make money, right? That was your thing from a young kid.
From the get.
I didn't know like what I wanted to do in my future. And if you had asked my peers, I probably would have been dead by 21 or in jail. Like something, it was not a good path.
It's a bad path.
Right. But now looking back, when I was 16 years old, I remember leaving Licking Valley High School, and I had already worked in the summer at R&R Pipeline, and then I was going into like my junior year, in between. And it was like a couple weeks before I was going back to work for summer. There's crews outside of the school digging in natural gas pipeline, and I see them crews, and I just had this gut feeling like this one spot, and I drive by that spot once a week, twice a week now, and still have that same feeling. I'm like, I'm going to own this company one day. And I have no idea why.
I would say,
and I
why
was
did
16.
that hit you?
I was 16, and I seen the trucks on the side of the road. And I was like, I'm going to work here in the summer, basically part-time, for a whole whopping $6 or $7 an hour. I'm going to own this company one day. And I never thought about it again until I was probably 22.
Yeah.
So I went back to work, after high school and whatnot, but never thought about that moment again. And now looking at it, I think I was suffocated by my environment. And I think when you asked me that question that day, my environment exploded. So I had been so like in this closet of security, safety, not being aware. It wasn't even that I was uneducated, I was just unaware of what was possible. I was never guided for the personal development. There was never a bigger picture for me.
Or nobody really maybe just challenged your thought process about like the possibility. And that's what I think is like part of my place that I have with whoever I'm around is because people had to do that with me too, right? And I was thankful enough to be around some people that operated at an extremely high level, and they're always that way.
Yeah.
And even though I was only around them for short periods of time, I got the drift real quick, right? And so because I got that experience, I felt like it's then my turn to, especially if I see people around me, I think that have greatness in them, but they don't maybe believe that they do, to at least I owe that to them to at least express that. Then whether or not they get it or not,
it's on them.
that's on them.
Yeah.
But I think like if you hear it from somebody you maybe quote unquote respect or maybe look up to at that point in time, then you're at least going to take it at some type of value. Like, wait a second, all right, this guy either healthily checked me for a reason or believes in me, but why is he believing in me if I don't believe in me?
Right. So seeing something in somebody or believing in them and showing them a light that they can't see themselves.
Yeah.
So like my attorney, Jim Havens, we're sitting down with him. He never even really met us. He just knew a little bit of our background, and he took a chance on me and Cody to buy the company for no reason. But he believed in us just by the way that we, told our story, where we had been from where we started. Mm-hmm. And it was probably the same thing for you. Like, you see greatness in people all the time. Now, whether they achieve greatness is on them, but if you can spark the greatness, then you can change your life very simply, like you did mine, right? Yeah. So there's a lot of power in just that recognition. And, you lived your life in the last 20 plus years of changing and inspiring other people's lives. And the ripple effect of that is so much bigger than just directly what you've done. Indirectly, I've changed a lot of people's life because of what you did for me. Mm-hmm. So it's amazing how, I think John Yule said that ripple effect, like a drop of water, it's just it's ever expanding. Yeah. So
that's why I think things like this, Jake, are really important, and especially like guys that are in the industry that you're in, which is very blue collar, and guys aren't really into a lot of this type of stuff. They're maybe more now than ever, but there's still a major wide opening in it. It's like, I think that you know, having a guy that runs a business the style of your business and then doing content like this is super important. Because then on top of it, like I'm from blue collar, multiple generation blue collar, right? So it's like I'm still blue collar. I just applied it to something, a different trade.
Yeah.
And so that's what a lot of people don't realize. Like I keep saying this because Chris Rock said this. It was fucking hilarious. He was like, he said his kids identify as rich. He said he identifies as poor though, because that's how he was. Yeah. And I feel the same way. I have a lot of opportunities in my life, but I still don't, I see them for what they are, don't get me wrong. But the internal Cory is still from the trailer, it's coal miner, it's blue collar, right? So it's like, there's still that mentality that even though, yeah, I had a Rolls Royce for 5 years, whatever, and some people think that changes, it doesn't change any of that other stuff. You just have applied it to a whole different thing. So it's like, I think to be able to get people on this show and then to get your story out more over time too, so people from that mentality can go, wait, these dudes is just like me. They're applying that same work ethic that I am in the field just on something they really, truly love to do. And I think that when people start to understand that, whether they do it as a side project or there's no, like that it is possible.
Right.
And we both prove that.
Yeah. And back to the hamster wheel analogy. So I've seen so many people wake up every day, hate what they do, but they bust their ass every day.
Yeah, they're
just think if they were going to apply that same 12 hours a day to something they were passionate about.
Yeah.
And it might not be, you worked your ass off in a coal mine for a couple of years so you could get out of it, right? I did it, you know, from 18 to 30, basically, I sacrificed everything I had and dedicated everything I had to this one goal of buying the company. And then I did it, right? So the work ethic for a lot of the blue collar guys is there. They don't fit in a box of going like a college. They're not going to go to college. Why would they go to college, right? They work with their hands. But a lot of entrepreneurs don't fit inside of a box.
Yeah.
They've just figured out how to apply that work ethic in a different realm, like me and you have, and then done whatever the hell we want.
Well, because it's definitely not a fucking IQ test, I'll tell you that. But what it is work ethic, and then combining that with something you love to do, which then allows you to really even work way more than 40 hours because you're there. So it's like, I think if people understand that, then it opens up, you know, a lot of opportunity for it. But it's scary to go do something that no one else in your family has done before. You know, I worked like about a year at the sawmill and then 6 months underground. And that was enough to be around enough guys that had worked for a really long time in both industries. Some liked their job, most did not. But they all taught me how to like grow up and be a man and work hard. And I was just like, this is my rationale. This is my high IQ rationale. There's no way in hell, when I got that paycheck, that was 93 hours in 1 week, which was good. I think it was like $1,800 or something like that. But after taxes, there's no way in hell if I applied that amount of time, weekly, even bi-weekly, to what I love, that there's no way I couldn't be successful at it. I was able to put 93 hours in 1 work week. Like that, like most people can't even conceptualize that, but I did it underground. And I'm telling you what, that was such a building block for me because first off, there's no direct deposit then. We're talking 1998 or 99.
No time to take your check in, right?
My check, I was not available to take the check to the bank because I was working. So I had like 5, 6, 7 of them piled up. But one of them that was on top was that one. And I just thought to myself, when I make it to Columbus, if I'm willing to do this, what they paid me on this check, but weekly, there's no way that I can be stopped. And I really just thought that rationale. And so, you know, it just seemed like it made sense to me. I don't know.
What the hell were you doing with your life? I didn't know, right? And I was laid off of work when you asked me that question, but what I did realize is I'm not working hard enough. So I'm not applying myself enough when I'm there. Not even that I need to put in more time, which eventually led to that, but when I'm there, I need to fully apply myself and do whatever I can do to get better. So if it's the next certification, if it's the next, you know, qualification, advancement, you know, pay raise, whatever it was at that time. And so I started focusing on that in the short term. But then I realized, like, okay, professionally, I don't know what's there yet, but I'm advancing. What am I doing personally? And it was just like, how can I get better? Physically, I'm getting better every day because I still train, right? But then that's when the personal development slowly started creeping in, started learning a little bit more. And then when you start realizing it's a big universe, there's a lot to learn. None of us are ever going to, you know, retain half of what we want, right? But exposure is just as important as anything else with personal development.
Facts.
You have to expose yourself to it, other people that like to do it, groups, recommendations, whatever. I have learned more from a book and from mentorship than anything else in my journey.
I think that there's a negative connotation for some reason about working on yourself. I'm not sure why. I'll tell you this, I have a negative whole thing with just traditional school because they're forcing me to, I know I need to learn how to write and read and all that stuff, obviously.
Well, you don't know how to do that very well, Cory, but you got a few books out there, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's a fact.
Yeah.
And I've been made fun of for multiple emails, but.
I would say I got third grade grammar, so I
Oh my
understand.
gosh, so bad. But the reality is I was being forced to learn subjects I had no interest in. So I thought that it just wasn't for me. I'm telling you, I remember, and this is what's so funny, early in my career, just right out of high school, how somebody actually tried to give me a business book because I think they knew I was trying to learn stuff. I thought literally it was a waste of my time. I was just completely, I was I'm not fucking wasting my time doing it.
Right.
So I had that same approach, and I didn't realize because no one had given me something that I was it was eye-opening.
Right.
And finally, when I had a very small book called Conversations with Millionaires, easy. 8 chapters, I think it was. Every chapter was a different person's interview, and everybody was a millionaire. And I thought, well, motherfucker, I'd like to be the 9th one,
Right.
so let me go ahead and read this.
Right.
And one of the chapters was Robert Kiyosaki.
Yeah.
And I was
And
never,
that was the ripple
that was
effect,
it.
yeah.
And then I thought, wait a second, I just learned more in that 8 pages
Yeah.
than I learned the entire time I was in high school, other than, early education to read and shit. And I was like, okay, no one's going to teach me this stuff because no one I know knows any of it.
No.
If I want to have an understanding, I have to take responsibility for educating myself. And so, once again, that's pretty early on because there's no YouTube, there's none of that shit's really happening yet. So the resources now are so immense, you have no fucking reason not to make yourself better. I really think once you understand this, once you get past the, okay, it's hokey, or 2, does it really work? I mean, I would look forward to it daily because I know I'm getting better.
Right.
And I'll tell you, this was one of the biggest compliments I had in a long time. And he was in the building industry, Mr. Diani from Diani Homes, which is in Ohio. They have thousands and thousands of home sites. And I hadn't seen him. So he was a client of the guy I originally worked with. So he met me when I was 20. Literally, same time I met you, right? Roughly. And he saw that I had some, some pop to me. I was, intrigued by business and I was working hard and I was charismatic or whatever within my profession. And then he left and moved away for a long time. And then I ran into him at the pub one day, literally 20 years later. It had been I had maybe seen him one time in between, but big layoff in between. And then he lives in Granville and we had cigars one day. We were talking and he said, it's really interesting. He's but I just feel like you're at least 10 years older than you actually are, Cory. I said, why do you say that? He's it's probably partly experiences because some of the business you've been through. He's but something is different about my conversations with you with your age compared to when he was that age. He's probably maybe 60. Mm-hmm. He's about 20 years my elder, roughly. I said, dude, it has to be all the fucking reading. Because I had all of these experiences from other people I've read about, then apply it. So it's you're gaining knowledge from these wisdom of these extremely smart people, way more accomplished than myself. But it was probably one of the coolest compliments I had got as somebody told me I'm older than, or at least that was their perception. And I don't know what his expectation was, but it was just a really cool, and somebody I looked up to because I remember when I was 20, I knew that guy was doing millions of dollars in business, building houses all over the city. And so and he was in shape, he's in his 40s. So I'm looking at this dude this is a guy I want to be you know what I mean? Right. So it was a really cool thing, but it all came from the development, bro. 100%.
Development is everything. And I always reference a 2-lane highway as what I used to see the world by. So this 2-lane road is all I can see, right? When I started my personal development journey, just call it 10 years ago, my highway started building. And now I say I had 200 lanes of road and I'm under construction every day because I'm always getting better. And I'm obsessed with it now. I don't watch TV hardly anymore at all. I don't care to. Buckeye game, that's about it, right?
Yeah.
Outside of that, I would rather just be learning because I'm so obsessed with it. I didn't really start doing it until I was probably 24, 25. I had no idea where to start, what to do. But just as you apply yourself to it, it all comes to you eventually. Because you find an area of weakness, you're like, I don't understand why I'm paying this in taxes. I need to research this. And then it's just the evolution of it, and you just figure it out.
You can start to really, I think that's why, obviously you get addicted to exercise too, in the same way, right? You can, if your lower back hurts, you can fix that weakness. If you don't understand taxes, you can study it. You can really start to pinpoint whether it's physical or mental, I think. But I think what a lot of people is they don't realize that the mental part can be the same as the physical. And then when you match those two up together, then you can become serious, like you can dominate some shit.
Just having one, mental or physical, is good.
Yeah.
But when you combine them, that's where greatness happens. Yeah. I mean, tell me, some of the greatest people as far as accomplishments go that don't have both sides of that to some degree. Whether it's hopping on a spinning bike and just riding a bike, whether it's going on walks every day, whatever it is, they're applying themselves physically to some degree, right? They need that release as well as a mental release. Everybody, Jeff Bezos is ripped right now, right? Like Elon Musk talk about cage fight.
Mark Zuckerberg's in good shape
right,
too.
Yeah, so them guys are applying themselves physically because they've already had the mental application for so long. I was the opposite. I had the physical application from 13 years old as a fat kid that just wanted to be in shape. And then the mental side came later. I'm probably way ahead of my peers. I feel like I'm way behind them because I started late.
Yeah.
But when I talk to that 55 or 60-year-old business owner, my attorney, like, man, how old are you? When I tell people I'm 34, they normally are taken back by that because of the application. You can tell, you can't fake it. When you talk to someone, you can't fake it.
Not when people, listen, real guys know what's up. And that's the thing is that's why the compliment from Dan was important to me because I know he's been around, he's seen the numbers, he's been around a lot of people, he's done it, you know what I mean? And so that's why I was like which reminds me I need to call him because I haven't talked to him in a while because like he always has really good advice too because he's been through a lot of stuff. And so it's like when you get a chance, and it's funny because it wasn't like I was even trying to. I think it's just because when it's really part of the fabric of how you live, and it has been for me for a really long time, I think the world has a certain way that it operates. It's just what it is. And I think the rules of it are what they are. And I think when you develop yourself, you start to realize what those are. And when you start to follow those rules, and they're not easy, but they're difficult, and a lot of it has discipline-related stuff, then when things happen, which are usually not in the time frame that you want them to, but it's inevitable. And so when people see certain things happen to me, I am not really ultra surprised very often. And it's because I can track back to why. And so then people think, well, whatever, it's fucking a coincidence. It's on accident when it happens once. It's not on accident when it happens multiple times.
When it continues to happen, yeah.
And so the continued luck is not.
It's a side effect of your evolution.
Correct.
Dude, I mean, 100%. So that luck is never going to be there if the application won't put it in the first place.
There you go.
I mean,
people hear me talk like that, they think it's crazy, Jake, because there's a lot of people, I think, guessing on what the rules are. I know what the rules are, but there's a price to pay. And so not everybody's willing to pay the price. And it's sometimes I'm willing to pay the price and sometimes I'm not willing to pay the price. But what I try to do is run in that line where I'm paying enough of the price that then there might not be as hard to fall off in other areas of my life, so I can still net get what I want. But that's what I'm trying to develop on a regular basis, is that understanding and that continued evolution. It's like, I don't know, it kind of wakes people out sometimes when you start talking like that, but that comes with all the stuff as you're learning.
So many people have no idea of what it takes to get to that first accomplishment. Like your first school, right? Personal trainer, like it happened fairly quick.
It did.
But MP, right?
Yeah.
That was probably a big milestone for you.
Yeah,
it was
like
that
10
big.
years later.
It wasn't really planned, but it happened, right? And it took me 12 years to own our pipeline, from 18 to 30. And it was 12 years of complete sacrifice, one goal, 6 days a week, whatever it took to get that. Almost losing everything that I owned and going on a 400+ day journey of absolute hell.
I was saying the deal took a long time, dude.
Yeah,
Because we went through multiple phases of it when you were telling me about it.
And then I remember, like, I'd call you and just like, holy shit.
Yeah.
And I would be like, dude, holy shit, this just happened. We had bank lined up, guaranteed documents, previous owner had that documentation. The bank dropped us. Sitting at a table, and I'm sitting here like, I'm already going to be bankrupt if this deal don't go through with how much in just attorney fees I have.
Yeah, just you got wrapped up in it.
I've already taken every, dollar in cash, savings, everything I have, just to get applications like a, sent,
Yeah.
just to get, loan fees paid for. Like, what's next? But the thing is, when you're that determined, like we can see the finish line on Muscle Island, right?
Yep.
You said something to me on Thursday morning about an island. You showed me 2 things on it. I said, it's done. You showed me a quote for utilities. I said, I got the utilities, bro. It's a wrap, right? And you believed it because I believed it, and like vice versa. So you can see it done. I can see it done. When me and you and Peters went out Friday, I seen it. It was done, right? And you might not have been able to see what I could see, but
you could see your portion of it.
I could see my part. I knew where I had to step up and consider it done.
I think that that's why the first win in evolution is so important. I really think you got to figure. I opened my first personal training studio in July of, I think, 99 or 2000. What I'll be? Let's see, 20. I'll be 45. What was 2023? So like 90. Yeah, 99. And I turned 21 that September. So as a 20-year-old. Barely removed from the coal mine, a year to year and a half, whatever, I'm having my first big win. And I think that that right there just told me everything I needed to know, because all of what was happening, even in that moment, even though it was kind of a shit show, I didn't have a lot of nice stuff, all that blah, 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 right? It was still such a monumental win that I was like, I don't even know if I could have conceptualized that by 30. So I don't think that's what a lot of people didn't realize of what was probably happening in my head. I'm at 20 thinking, well, shit, this is possible. I'm in Columbus.
Right.
I moved here. I knew nobody except for
Dustin. It took a couple years, right?
Couple years, yeah. Dustin and a couple other people I came here with. I got 15 clients paying my bills, barely, but they're paying it. I got my own gym.
But you're doing it.
But I'm doing it.
You made it.
And so that to me right there was so I think understanding what that first win is, whatever that win is for you, and then, then really hindering on okay, well, if this is the case, then if I did this by 30, then what's the next 10?
Yeah.
What's the next 3?
Right.
I mean, it it all moves kind of fast, so it's kind of hard to have all these 5-year plans and shit. I don't really operate like that, but I just needed to know it was possible. And then once I figured that out, then I've been pretty much on this craziness for the last 25, because then it's no finish line.
So having that first win would have probably been for me on a smaller scale was I became a foreman at 22, 24 time frame where
You're running
at
jobs,
20 years
bro.
old, what the hell were you doing with your life to a young 20-year-old overseeing
Grown men, probably.
grown men
right?
20 plus years old that have been doing this quite literally longer than I've been alive.
Yeah.
And I was
I'm
told
sure
that
you've
on
heard that
day.
a few times.
I did, and I said, well, then come take my fucking spot then. If you've been doing it this long, then you should be doing it.
Yeah.
You should be doing what I'm doing. And it never happened. But I got that win at a young age, and then it's okay, this really wasn't that hard. I just had to apply myself. I'm not going to go out and drink at night. I'm going to apply myself at night. A couple extra hours a night, 8 to 10 hours extra a week on application, and not, being a degenerate. I'm going up, not down. So if that's all that this takes,
Then what's the next
then
step?
what's next? And then the cycle never stops. We just get better, more efficient, and higher skill sets with it. So that foreman, okay, why can't I buy the damn company by 30?
There you go.
So that astronomical goal was there, and it was in place at 22, 23, but it wasn't I'm just going to go buy the company, that's the next step. No, it's an evolution after that.
So we're just starting to ask the question, Jake.
Yeah.
I think that's part of where a lot of people are. They're not asking the question. I think we need a commercial break, even though it's his show. I think that's what we need to do. Because Trevor told me we'll be right back.
This episode of the Iron and Infrastructure Podcast is brought to you by R&R Pipeline Inc., an infrastructure company. Join our team today at rrpipelineinc.com.
All right, so we're back from break here. I got my good friend Cory Gregory on the other side of the Iron and Infrastructure Podcast. So let's continue with the evolution. And then let's apply it to the iron game, because the iron is a tall tale. The iron never lies.
Iron never lies.
So
ain't that a fucking fact?
how many times
It doesn't care how much money you got. It doesn't care.
There's no judgment when you walk through the door.
Judgment, bro.
Right? The weight, the 45-pound plate doesn't discriminate. You know, anybody can come and go, and it can bury all of us, and it has buried all of us.
Yeah.
So I know that the business application and the iron game, there's so many similarities from weakness, overcoming weakness, failure, and injury, setback. You know, there's so many things there. How have you, especially in the last 5 or 6 years, dove into your physical pursuit with injuries and overcoming them? How has that applied over to your business? As far as detail, diving into different areas that you would have never
I think
thought of before.
Every time you go through a business challenge or every time you go through an injury in the gym, they're very similar, right? So you have to uncover why did this thing break, right? Which is weak things break, back to Louis, right? And it's like, what was I doing that contributed to that I need to fix? What do I need to work on a regular basis? Or who do I need in business maybe hire to fix or to teach me? Or what do I need to learn about? Where is the curiosity to figure out the problem solving? How do I then implement multiple versions of it to then see like what a better outcome is, right? So I think that goes, whether you got a lower back injury or you got a fucking marketing injury, it's really not that much different.
Right.
I really think that, you know, my early education and personal development stuff, which I didn't even realize at first, but it was mostly Arnold, right? Because I was reading about exercise. Arnold is the GOAT and forever will be. It's like a lot of his stuff transfers over, and he knew that because that's why he started his business. I mean, Arnold talked about, and I talked about back and forth with his son about this, like he told stories about, I mean, he was literally buying these parking lots in these apartment complexes in the 70s with his money from the Weeder magazines, and he still owns a lot of this shit, bro. I mean, it is worth so much money because he's had it this entire time. Yeah, unbelievable. So it's like, but he was teaching himself these things, and Joe Weeder was his mentor on business, and on top of it, so it's like you start to see that the discipline in the gym can transfer to the discipline in business. What's interesting is, in my industry, is that people think that they're the same. And they are, but they aren't. Meaning that if you're a good lifter, you're automatically deemed to make all this money in the business part. And it's not the way it fucking works.
No.
So my hate has come mostly because I'm not as good of a lifter as a lot of these guys, or as big or as lean or whatever that is. But I might be better at business than them. It's maybe just because I applied those things in a better way or differently or whatever it is, but they're all very similar. It's just whether or not people can then take it or maybe have the ideas and implement it. Maybe it's not even about that. Maybe part of it is just because they might not have been scared of weights, but I wasn't scared of the risk outside of the gym. And
there's
I think
a genetic component to both, right?
Yeah, right.
Whether it's an IQ
That's
thing or a physical attribute thing. So how many amazing weightlifters have came in genetically gifted and they couldn't run a business, you know, if their life depended on it, right? They would fail within the first week. There's a lot of carryover between the two. There's very few people though that are elite in both business and fitness. You know, Westside Barbell, legendary powerlifting gym, one of the best in the world, but they had no application in business, right?
Louis did in a sneaky way, but people don't really.
It was undercover.
It was very undercover. I knew it because I could see it, and I knew there was a lot more buttons he could have pushed that he chose not to, but it took him a long time to figure it out because he's very blue collar. Also, he's a cement guy or welder or ran a crane or did all that, right? So it was a really good playbook for it though. And I saw it a mile away when I went there. Wait a second. There's a whole component of very like grimy this and that, but I'm seeing what's happening also.
Well, Louis was about his business, but he didn't want to have a narrative about business. He just wanted the strongest people in his gym,
Correct.
right?
It just created a business.
Yeah. So it created a business for him,
Yeah.
but it wasn't, really branching out to others. Now, Tom and some of the other guys, obviously picked up with it, but I look at my business and life opportunities. I don't want to go by myself. You said it before the UFC fights. You're like, and you said it for a long time. You're like, man, I don't want to be the only one sitting at the dinner table that can buy for everybody.
Hell
right?
no. Ain't no fun.
Well, how powerful is it when you open up your door, your window of opportunity, and you can open up the team, everyone else's too? Why go on your own, right? You can go so much further when you have other people there with you.
100%.
Like the collaboration with a group of people was, I think that's really where the unknown sauce is at. Where Louis, you know, whether it was intentional or not, he just figured out a niche of a business because of his passion for powerlifting.
For sure.
But it wasn't applied to anybody else.
One of the best and one of the most knowledgeable and be like the techniques and just like he was not scared to fail and try stuff. And there's so many reasons why I think clearly the consistency of 50 years. See, that's the thing is Louis was so consistent and unapologetic.
And he was a freak as far as strength goes too. I mean,
Correct.
some of the stuff that like Tony and some of them guys talk about, just insane.
It's unbelievable. So he was a good real good blueprint of a certain amount of things that I took from him and applied in my own way. I just think that, you know, there's so many carryovers, but there's so many people that didn't carry it over. Arnold, however, carried it over at an obviously extremely high level. And, you know, it's just the way he lived. And Louis did the same. That's why they're both really successful in their own rights. Arnold just then was able to reinvent himself many times. So in my opinion, Louis did one thing well, powerlifting and strength extremely well. Arnold was able to take a 10-year block and then turn it into a movie star for another however many year block, and then into politics, and then into just a worldwide maniac, right? So it's like what I saw him do is every so often reinvent himself to the next thing, incorporating all of those things, but then bringing this new skill or thing.
Yep. I mean, kind of like MJ, you know, he retired from the Bulls and then he couldn't put it down. He had to go back. But like the shoe game, the ownership, the management, like it evolved from just a basketball player. That was his foundation. Kobe was the same way.
Yes.
You know, basketball was the foundation.
He won an Emery, right?
Right. Within like 2 years of being out of the league. So I think one big thing that is a comparable is you have an injury, right? And you're not sure what the answer is. What are you going to do? You're going to collaborate with somebody.
Yep.
In business, same thing. If there's a weakness in your business and you don't know about it, you're not going to just probably try to research it all, figure it out yourself. You're probably going to tap into your network, figure out someone that knows the answer to that question that's been through that. So much power in who you put around you. The network of people on both the iron and the business side is extremely powerful. And it can also destroy you. If you put the wrong people around you, your circle tells you who you are, right?
Dude, I had some people stay with me just for a day and a half most recently, and it dramatically changed the environment. One person, somebody that is cared about in the family, but I forget how insulated I am on purpose because I know those things, and it's probably at almost like kind of a psycho level at this point, and probably I'm unaware of that too. But I've done that because of the result. At the end of the day, I'm going to keep applying application, whether it's a training thing, whether it's a business thing, and I'm going to look at what the result is. And the result is not just a dollar figure. It's a way of operation. It's the fucking attitude. It's like the trajectory. Is it going in the right direction or the wrong direction? There's so many fucking factors. It's lifestyle. And I think that I'm always trying to pay attention to that, at least how the way I internally feel. Then if I'm missing how the rest of the guys are feeling, eventually I'll catch on to it or they'll say something. But the reality is if as a whole it's in the right spot, then all the ships are rising up, right? As soon as you throw one thing in there, whether it's a family member that's always ragging you about your diet, or it's especially that doesn't want anything more for themselves but can't understand why you want some. I really just started getting real direct and try to be nice and be like, yo, listen, I don't really expect you to really understand.
And I can tell by looking at you, you don't get it.
Yeah, and I try. So that's where I want to go to first.
Right.
And
in the back of your head, that's what you're thinking.
Well, because it's like the dietitian that's telling me how to fucking eat right, but they are fat.
Like the doctor that I told you the other day told me I need to lose 20 pounds.
Because your BMI's mixed up. Fuck off, right? So if you take that out of it, it's somebody you might still care about. You might have to talk to again. You can just in a healthy way say, listen, like, I understand that this is not the life that you want, and maybe this isn't for you, but this is what I'm choosing, and I'm having good results from it. So it's like when you're coming at me in a negative way, it kind of makes me feel kind of certain. Like, I try to do a better job of, like, I just knew that motherfuckers were not going to get it, and so either we're going to talk about it directly, or just don't talk to me about it at all, and just fucking is what it is.
You know, and sometimes people might come at you. I know I've had a situation where they're not really coming at me. They just don't understand.
I would agree with that.
And so I have to step back and explain to them, like, look, if you felt the way that I feel, if you lived and operate the way that I do, if you were capable of doing what I do in 24 hours, what I do in 6, then you might think differently.
Or let's even flip it a different. Like, if you aspire to upping your game to any level, I'm always aspiring to that. So that's what this looks like in my way. So if you think it looks whatever crazy and you would never live that way, I get it. But if you want to get better, then, and you're not getting better, but I clearly am, then maybe you take a piece of that.
Right.
So don't bitch to me, basically, if you're not getting what you want, but then come at me because of what I'm doing. And so it's like but I think once again, I've been studying about this stuff for so long, I can kind of read that. And then I have like a rule. If it's especially work, family related, the gym I'm a little bit looser with because I like it to be kind of crazy. So we've had some issues where they went longer than that. But if you give me the 3 strikes and I clearly know that you're not going to change and you're bringing drama into my life directly, then I'm just going to be done with you. And even a couple times, most recently, I've had to explain, like, hey, in my work or this, I would never let this fly. And when I did too long, as soon as I got rid of it, I realized, oh, this is much better.
So I had a family member come to me over probably a course of 1.5 years with excuses, reasons why they can't or don't, wanting to lose weight, wanting a magic pill. And it got to the point for me, I was like, look, dude, you're fat. You need to take that spoon.
Direct.
You need to take the spoon and put it down. You need to quit having that wine every night. You need to get up out of bed a half hour earlier, walk on a damn treadmill.
Yeah.
Like, no one is coming to save you but yourself. Look in the damn mirror, put down the spoon because you're fat. You have to put it down. There's no magic pill.
No.
You know, we don't look the way that we look by accident, right?
I would argue none of this is by accident.
Nothing's by accident, right? You work for what you have. You focus on your wellness or your illness, right? There is no other option. Consciously, every day we get up and we focus on our wellness and our enhancement. The people that don't are focused on their illness subconsciously, and it's going to hit them later. They're going to be forced to every day wake up and face it.
Correct. You're going to be forced to do it one way or the other.
100%. All right, we're back from your commercial break. So I want to dive into the whole reason we're here, right? The Iron and Infrastructure podcast. So the conception in the construction industry, the reality of a day-to-day in the construction industry is much different than the one that we live now. You've seen in the coal mine, I've seen in the pipeline world. Drink coffee or pop until it's time to drink alcohol, 3 packs of smokes a day. When you're not smoking, you got to dip in. McDonald's a couple times a day at a gas station.
I lived
snacks,
it. You lived it.
Right? I went through it where I was one of them for about 6 months, and then just, man, I feel like shit, like
Can
real
I tell
shit.
you my, you want me to give you
Let's
my
hear
mock
it.
day?
Yeah.
So whenever I started at the coal mine, there's this guy named John, what was his last name? He smoked non-filtered Pall Malls. He also died of fucking lung cancer.
Well,
Yeah. So he was an old coal miner. I mean, he's probably like in his 70s. He was like almost retired. So I was still, because I figured that was like my first year out of school. So I would still kind of go out from time to time. And so I'd get there and all the guys are chain smoking because once you go underground, you can't light anything up because it'll blow up, right? So then obviously you got to have chewing tobacco. So I would get there and I'd either be smoking Newports on the way. It's amazing. It's like 5 a.m. or 4 a.m. or whatever. The coffee is like motor oil for sure, because most of the guys are coming off a hangover from the night before, right? And this isn't everybody, but this is like 80% probably.
It's a majority.
It's a majority for sure. And so I'd drink 1 or 2, cups of the fucking styrofoam coffee that looks like motor oil. I'd smoke on the way to work, and then sometimes bum one off John if I had one. And then I chewed Red Man Golden Blend all day long because you're kind of bored because you're just doing labor work, shoveling coal on your knees or whatever. Your back's rubbing the ceiling. You're like, this fucking sucks. At least I got to chew in, which then half the time you're swallowing it, so you got heartburn on top of it. I didn't eat breakfast, and if I did, it was like Little Debbie cake, which is amazing. The Little Debbie chocolate rounds.
Oh, I know, dude.
I'd smash about 2 of those. I'd get to lunch, and I would do like white bread, salami, and fucking Swiss cheese every day, and then like 2 bananas, which was every coal miner will tell you don't eat bananas underground. It has something to do with your like stomach acid because you're bent over. You get real bad heartburn, but I didn't know that. So my ass was eating like salami and cheese, which is definitely not the greatest thing to fucking digest anyway, and then bananas on top of it. So I always had terrible heartburn underground. I wondered fucking why. And then one old coal miner saw me one day like, what are you eating them bananas for, boy? I'm like, they're healthy for you.
You're probably not hydrated.
Oh, no.
Chewing like.
No, not at all. And then when I would get home, after fucking, I'm so hungry, I would eat, whatever my mom fucking made. But half the time, I was eating, because I was still living at home at the time, my favorite go-to, you're going to really like this, peanut butter sandwich, but with barbecue chips smashed on the inside of it. So I would go, this is amazing. I got like flashbacks. I'd go home, I'd make 2 huge peanut butter sandwiches. I'd take 2 huge handfuls of barbecue chips, put them on there, smash them down, and then who knows what I washed it down with. But that was like...
a lifestyle.
Yes! And that was like my legitimate way I ate almost every day. I did when I was out of the coal mine during light hours. If I ever, got out of regular quitting time, I would go and train or train in my basement or whatever. So I was still lifting weights, and I was burning an assload of calories because I was working so hard. There was labor work all day, carrying block and shoveling or whatever. But that's what I ate, and I would say I still looked like I was fucking healthy compared to everyone else, meaning compared to what they were eating. So yeah, it was, I don't know, that lifestyle. And here's what I noticed the most, right? The guys that were older, they were still strong. They just look, especially the ones, see, like my stepdad, Randy, doesn't drink. He doesn't eat that great, but he still trains. So he had a labor job, he trains, and he didn't drink. And he didn't smoke or anything. So he looked a lot younger than a lot of the guys I worked with. The guys that partaked in drinking really often definitely didn't eat good, still worked a ton of hours, smoked. Those guys look old, man.
Quick.
And so weathers them really fast. Yeah. And I noticed that was one of the things like, this is not, like, I'm not gonna be that way. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, I remember in a hotel room with a guy who was a friend of mine. I never roomed with him before. He would wake up in the morning before he brushed his teeth or anything, put a dip in. And then he'd walk in the bathroom. I don't know if he brushed his teeth with a dip in or didn't brush his teeth at all.
Yeah.
As soon as we got off work, black velvet, pizza. I mean, and just, like, it was insane what he ate. I'd never seen him drink water. Ever. Like, never drink water. And we had a electric outage one year, whatever, for a few days in the summer. He came back to work and I had to rush him to the hospital. He was so dehydrated because he sat in air conditioning in his house and drank every day and had zero water for like 4 days. Nothing but booze. And he like cramped, like his body wouldn't like.
And was he like surprised? He like just was unaware?
He was somewhat surprised that it was that bad. I was like, dude, how much water did you drink? He's like, I haven't drank water since Tuesday. I was like, it's fucking Monday. Like last Tuesday? He's like, well, yeah. Because I got to sit around and drink booze all week. It's like, that is a very common thing though.
Yeah.
Right? So I was always told growing up that, weightlifting was never anything that was really an approval from, my father growing up, right? If you got time to go work out, you got energy to go do that, you should be working hard. That was kind of the thing.
You didn't
there.
work hard enough in your labor job.
Right, yeah. But, in the industry, it's not very common. So whenever I would wake up 2 hours earlier than everybody else, go to the gym for an hour and a half, and then be in the truck waiting on them to drag their ass out of bed, they never understood what I was doing. Whenever I was at night, instead of sitting around drinking or going out to Applebee's for, happy hour, I was going to go walk on a treadmill and listen to a book. the separation of the two, it is absolutely
So you
astronomical.
started doing that stuff while you were still in the trenches.
Oh yeah. I was early 20s, and that
Yeah,
was
that
where the
makes
real
sense.
separation started to happen. Where I really started to evolve when I didn't go out to happy hour, and I would go be boring per se, right? Like being boring.
I just tweeted about that as like you're boring because you won't drink during the week. You're boring because you got to go to bed at a certain time. But is it boring to win? Last time I checked, it ain't fucking boring.
Last time, hold up that trophy for the championship is a lot better than being in the stands watching, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's
but the problem is the small things that you have to do on a regular basis that take you out of the norm is what's really difficult for a lot of people. Yeah. And so I think two things I think that contribute that helped me on this. My dad was a natural loner, and I've realized I need other people, not just like personally, like I need other people around me because that's like you're just healthier. But two, on top of it, I can't do everything on my own. No matter how fucking motivated I am or what I believe is possible, like I just can't do it on my own. It's impossible, right? And so, and nor would I want to your point. And then it's like, but then when you realize I'm okay with that part though, if I have to do it from time to time, I knew that it contributed to probably what I was trying to accomplish. It wasn't as hard for me. So maybe I took a genetic problem. I think that was a clear problem with my parents, my dad, the way he operated. And I actually took it and put it into a positive, I think, attribute. But I can see it even with some, like my oldest son, he has it too. And I'm like, hey man, like just know this is how we are. I told him at one time, like this is our genetic thing. We can just be cool having it's okay to have time to yourself. But so if I don't get that time to myself, I'm not a good dude.
Right.
So because I'm looking for it.
Right.
So the morning is my time to myself. So I can go through this washing machine to be the person I'm trying to be for my family. So instead of my dad didn't allocate that time, so then he had to get it at the most unopportune times.
Which was on your time. So he was a loner by himself, which became a loner to you.
Yes.
You're a loner before anyone's out of bed.
Between everybody's out of bed. So what I try to do is evolve a negative thing, turn it into a positive thing that feeds probably whatever that is DNA-wise with myself, but with positive things that contribute towards the bigger goal for everybody. Right. And so I think that that's one of the things I kind of grabbed early about kind of how I operate, but how you also have to operate to some degree.
Right. And so I've seen this in the field, but also personally, where you have to put yourself first. You have to be selfish. Yeah. Because if you're not being selfish by taking care of yourself, you're not giving everyone the best of you, right? So if you don't get out of bed at 3 o'clock in the morning, you go do what you do, your family's not going to benefit from it, just like you didn't with your dad, right?
Yeah.
I applied myself differently than what my dad did. I'm giving my family the best of me every day. Yeah, this road's hard, but so is the other road, right?
Yeah.
The road to success is hard,
bro.
but the road to no success is hard too.
Yeah, they're both hard.
Life is difficult no matter what it is. But understanding that, hey, I can just apply myself in a different area, a little bit more passion. We do it for freedom. We do it for our family, but ultimately for freedom.
For sure.
Freedom of time, freedom of money, freedom of purpose, right? To do whatever we want, and then freedom of relationships. So we want to have enough money to do whatever we want, whenever the hell we want, with whoever we want, and fulfill our purpose in life.
Facts.
That's what we do it for. And at the end of it, we're better off. Our families are better off. You've already changed generations, right? I'm on the way. I'm doing the same thing. Our families are forever going to be different.
Facts.
So why can the construction industry not be different? I think it can. And that's why I'm here. That's why we're here talking about it right now.
Well, I think that there's a sneaky amount of construction people that make plenty enough money to do that, Jake, that don't even own the company. I've met a lot of construction guys in my lifetime that have done extremely well for themselves, even be foremans, management, that do not own, that it doesn't have their name on the...
Dude, 5 years in a trade, you're talking 6 figures easy.
So then,
and you can really elevate that quickly.
So really what I think that you could represent for a lot of those guys too, it's the guys that are in the field that want to go to that next level. Mm-hmm. It's the guys that are at that next level that then hopefully need to do the proper things with it so then they can do exactly what we're attempting to do, you know what I mean, or are doing.
Yeah. So many people, from a corporate standpoint, for a big company, right? A lot of people focus on their health because they've established themselves throughout business, but they don't talk about it. So it's not known to be talked about in the construction industry, in the pipeline world. You know, guys have a narrative, they stay in that narrative, and they don't ever know any better. So why can't an industry be changed? Why can there not be a purpose for people more than just a paycheck? Whenever someone identifies their purpose, I think it changes everything. But identifying your purpose and then having a passion to get that accomplishment, it all stems from what we're doing mentally and physically every day.
Absolutely.
So the confidence is not built with a vision, because you can have a vision if you don't apply yourself to it. It's just a dream, right?
Facts.
You can have action with no vision, and then you're just wondrously doing shit. But you tie the two together, anything's possible. You got to have vision, you got to have action, but you got to have them both collaborate, and they got to go together.
They got to go together, and it's an ever evolving kind of situation too. Like, my understanding of what needs to happen now compared to what needed to happen 20 years ago, the things I can run into, the things I can study now, the things I'm comfortable and not comfortable, it evolves. So you always have to be evolving with it. But I think it's the action on a regular basis. It's the action of trying to do what needs to be done when you do or don't want to do it. And I think that, and then my big thing is, I know we got to wrap up soon. It's like, whatever part that you're in, whether you're in the field like me and you used to be, whether you're in management, whether your name can be on the sign, there's got to be still a daydreaming component of what is possible or what is next, or how. I would challenge this. How do you see yourself operating? I'm telling you, that is probably one of my biggest gifts to date. I know how I want it to look. I don't know when it can happen. I can reverse engineer it, but I know how I want it to look. And it looks an awful lot like what's happening right now. And then the things that are the icing on the cake are the things like Muscle Island, which is probably a whole nother episode on Muscle Island. But it's like, that's not in the plan, but now it's part of it.
The most powerful question that I've ever been asked in my life, if we're sitting here 3 years from now, so September 12th of 2026, and you look back over the past 3 years, from 2026 to now, what would have had to happen in that 3-year time frame for you to be happy personally and professionally? What's going to make you happy with your progress? It's not what are your goals. What's going to make you happy? What did you do in that time frame to make you happy? That answers your question, right? I needed to take X, Y, and Z steps for happiness in 3 years. Just take the fucking step.
Yeah.
And then assess what dangers are in the way. You know, what obstacles do you have to overcome? What opportunities do you see that you can expose? And what strengths do you have to be confident in going that way? And when you tie that together, and when you really think about that question, it changes everything. Because it's not, what is my goal in 3 years? You're looking in the past. Like, I'm looking back from 2026 to today. What did I do in that time frame to make me happy? And that's the next part of the evolution, right? So hopefully in 3 years from now, in 2026, we're doing this podcast again, episode like 300, talking about changing an industry.
Yeah,
right?
It's awesome.
So,
well, I'm excited for you, Jake. It's like, I know this is new, a little bit uneasy probably, but the reality is, like, I think having me as a first guest was a good idea. Yeah. Because we talk like this all the time.
yeah. Now so, on the mic.
Thanks for having me on, man.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. All right, Iron Infrastructure, episode 1. We're out.
Stop telling yourself one day. It isn't about one day, it's about day one. Today should be your day one. What you need isn't another day. What you need is clarity with the community to give you confidence to unlock your greatness. That's what the group coaching program is all about. Confidence, clarity, via commitment. Hit the show link in the notes. Let's start unlocking your greatness now, today.